Hello and welcome to The Exchange, where we invite leaders in their field to join us to discuss topics of interest to all of us in our everyday lives. I'm Rob Buckingham and my co-host on The Exchange is my wife, Christie.
I'm looking forward to today's show. Going to be some interesting things.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will be talking about becoming a cashless society. We will discuss the pros and cons surrounding this and finding out if cash still has a place.
To discuss this topic, we're delighted to be joined by Dominic Alafaci, Managing Director of Collins House. Welcome, Dominic.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
We're also joined by Michelle Tate-Lovery, who's the Director and Principal Advisor of Unified Financial Services. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello.
Before we get on with our conversation today, let's take a look at this.
Today's society uses credit cards more and more. Cash is tangible, and if you don't have the money in your wallet, you can't spend it. But with credit, it's so much easier to swipe or sign and make the purchase. But does that get some people into trouble, amassing huge debts? So what are the pros and cons of cash or credit?
This is going to be an intensely practical program today, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I love when you go to countries where a little bit of money goes a long way and you have a wallet full of cash. But the statistics are showing that we're actually moving towards a cashless society. Is this a good or a bad thing?
Look, I think it's inevitable. I don't know whether it's good or bad. And, you know, transactions over the internet are fantastic when they work.
Yes.
So, inferring sometimes they don't.
Absolutely. Have you ever been in a shop trying to buy something and the EFTPOS machine's down and there's 15 people behind you in a queue?
Or worse still, at a car park where you're trying to park your car and you have to use a credit card and it's broken.
Well, that happened today.
And it's a terrible feeling because you just, if you have the cash, you put it in and off you go.
Absolutely.
Michelle, what would your comments be in regard to cashless society?
I do think there's a convergence with the internet, smartphones, credit cards are definitely easier for the individual to use. But it is a method of payment, just like cash is, so I think it needs to be treated with a bit of respect. And it is a big responsibility to have a credit card.
Do you think sometimes shops actually make it a little bit difficult for you to use credit card? Like, I get irritated, I agree, it's a method of payment, but then they want to charge me for that method, like an extra 3%, an extra 1%, instead of them absorbing it?
I think it's interesting that we absorbed that surcharge without really much trouble at all, because the convenience of credit cards outweighs the extra 1% or whatever they're going to charge you. Sometimes we may not want to pay the 2 or 3. We might say, well, I'll go for the credit card that's got the lower charge.
True.
But I think society just embraced this surcharge in Australia, because we had a no surcharge period not many years ago.
Do you think we'll ever get to the point where we don't use cash at all?
I hope not, and I would encourage everybody listening, never have no cash. Because, you know, you can be caught out. The example of the EFTPOS machine or whatever, you might be needing something important. It could be, you know, baby formula or petrol for your car or something that's essential. And if you don't have, you know, the folding, you're going to be in trouble.
It's a very good comment. Friends of ours during the earthquake in Christchurch, they said that the thing that will change from now on for them is they will always have cash and they will always have a car full of petrol. So
absolutely. And a bottle of water, probably.
That's right, yes.
As well.
Maybe even more importantly.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. We're becoming increasingly dependent, though, on electronic payment. Are there any trappings that we need to be aware of, I guess?
Yeah, as your segment said, you can just tap the card and the transactions occur. Or you go online and you do a lot of retail therapy on eBay or whatever the online shopping choice is. And I think because we're not actually parting with the physical dollars,
it doesn't register.
That's right. And also your transactions, you're not seeing your transactions until the end of the month when you're looking at your credit card statement, if you really do look at it.
And is it possible, if you can tap now, like with our e-tags, we just drive past and it automatically bleeps? Is there going to be a place where we just walk into a store, walk out a certain lane, and automatically it will be directed, you know, debited from our...
It could even be worse.
What are we talking about?
You could actually have those new glasses where you press the button, you want to buy something, and it's connected to the internet. You can actually go around in a store and look at something and just, I'll have that, I'll have that.
Is that actually happening?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Wow, I'm dumbfounded.
Well, it's basically, instead of having your laptop or sorry, your Palm Pilot or whatever, you have, it's like an iPad in your glasses.
Google glasses.
I think you'd send me out shopping blindfolded. I think...
Yeah, that might be a problem.
You'd be making a spectacle of herself, I know that for sure. What about cash? What are the pros of using cash?
Well, as I said before, I think you're actually parting with it from your purse or wallet. You're actually thinking twice about your spend. I mean, it's well documented that if you're using a credit card, you're going to be spending more. So you're more aware of the dollars that are parting from your wallet. And I also think that when you go to the market, you're able to use your cash and maybe even negotiate. So yeah, cash
is
is
discount. I'll pay cash.
Yeah,
How much off
absolutely.
will you give me?
Home services is another area as well. Your lawn mowing man, those sorts of things. So you know, cash definitely has a place, and certainly if you're not disciplined. Then at least a debit card can sort of replace a credit card.
Yep.
And at least then you have the money, you've earned the money, it's there for you to actually spend, rather than using credit, which is money yet earned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dominic?
And do you still find people with big hoards of cash in their backyards? Do you know of anybody like that?
Do you have the addresses?
Do you have their
Under
addresses?
the mattress.
Or does that not exist?
Yes and no. Answer your question.
Right,
yes, there
yes.
are people that do it. No, you can't have their addresses.
Right, yeah.
But on a serious note, just following up what Michelle
Yes.
was just saying, I think discipline's the important thing that underpins all of the conversation today.
Yeah.
If you are not good at saving money, or you spend too much money that you don't have, it really doesn't matter whether it's on credit or... I mean,
Exactly.
you're going to blow yourself up. So you need to be cautious, because you can buy things through similar credit facilities to credit cards through these little personal loans. You can just buy off the TV, ring up, they'll give you a small personal loan to go and do something. Now, used in the appropriate circumstances, they're brilliant. You know, I think there's an ad on at the moment where someone talks about, my husband was recovering from an illness, so we decided to go on a cruise. I went to this company and borrowed some money. Now, that's sensible, you know, it's a life event. You want to make sure, you know, they didn't have the money, they didn't want to sell the fridge and the TV, so they borrowed some money.
Sure.
But you know, credit itself, whether it's credit card, personal loans, the pawnbrokers, you know, the cash converters, well, they're all ways of giving you money, and discipline, as you said, I think has to underpin all of the conversations.
True, and I guess it's as well understanding the cost that is involved in using any of those things. So I imagine those personal loans would carry a fairly hefty interest rate?
Yeah, between 8 and 28%.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
That's a massive spread.
it is.
Michelle?
Yes, just following on from what Dominic said, I think there's a lack of awareness. I think it all comes down to budgeting. You need to understand what is coming in, you need to understand what is going out, and what are those fixed expenses first, and then the discretionary expenditure. You can make some decisions around that in a with full awareness. And I think a lot of people, we're focusing today on spending, but I think a lot of people don't actually understand what they earn in the first place.
Sure.
And it makes it hard to do an expense exercise if you're not sure what's coming in, because income is a bit disguised these days with regards to lumpy income or bonuses or a salary packaging. So understanding first what comes in, and doing that budget, an awareness exercise, or a cash flow planner rather than a budget, because people feel quite restricted when they hear the word budget. They feel they have to do without.
What would you say, define a cash flow planner for us?
Well, I think it's an awareness exercise to actually keep a record of your expenses, your utility bills, your medical bills, your shopping, etc. Divided into fixed expenses and discretionary. So you're actually having an awareness exercise.
So you're writing all those things down.
Spreadsheet it, write it down. Make a meeting with yourself every Friday night with a glass of wine maybe, and go through this exercise, and then you're actually ready to make a concerted effort to cut back if you're serious enough about the goal that you are wanting to achieve. And I believe that it becomes a very difficult exercise to actually restrict your spending, use credit card responsibly, unless you have some form of goal.
Right,
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think it's all getting a bit blurred at the moment.
We'll come back and talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. We need to take a break. Back soon with more discussion on The Exchange. Welcome back to The Exchange. We're having an insightful discussion with Dominic Alafaci and Michelle Tate-Lovery about how we're becoming a cashless society. I want to pick up on the whole aspect of parents and children. You know, I know we got little kids and you go to an ATM and you put your credit card in there and I'm sure they think that it's just, you know, there's a man the other side who's handing out copious amounts of cash.
They don't even correlate work. I said to them, well, how do you think it gets in there? And they said, well, the bank puts it there. So because we don't go to the bank and put money in and then go to the bank and take money out. So how do we teach them?
How do you train children?
I've got a tip. For
savvy.
99 cents you can buy a terrific app.
Yes.
It's called Monopoly, and you have to work and go around and collect your $200, and young children and young adults will enjoy it. It's a terrific game, quite clean, there's no problems with it.
Do we send them to jail?
Yeah, they go to jail if they do actually have 3 doubles or something, which is a bit silly, but it actually teaches them putting money in and buying things. And if you don't have enough money and you owe someone some money, you'll be bankrupt and you'll lose. I think it's the best 99 cents anybody could spend.
Brilliant. I'm going to spend 99 cents today.
Would you give your child a debit card, or would you give them hard cash in this process of trying to train them?
I think it really starts when it starts at the early ages of a child, and you know, behavioural scientists will tell you that, you know, the first 7 years of a child's development is really important, and I think it starts with like the pocket money and the chores around the house, simple things when the child gets older to actually talk about the shopping list, help get the child involved with researching the internet or the papers, whatever they're looking at with regards to what things cost. Have discussions with your children, communications, everything, and of course the parents have to set a good example. So no, to answer your question, a roundabout way, would not be giving a child a debit card or credit card. I would keep them away from mobile telephones and plans, because as we know, our young people today get very roped in to having the latest and best things now, and I think that instant gratification is happening a lot in our society, and I think it is our responsibility as adults to help all children to be better informed, and it starts in the home and certainly does go to the school system thereafter.
I'd love to pick up on that instant gratification thing. So are you saying that rather than getting it now and paying it off, we should encourage our kids to save
for a
something?
goal.
Yeah.
And you know, in the olden days,
I can remember.
we used to have a lay-by system.
Yeah.
Right? You wanted a dress or you know, a jacket, and
You've been looking in my wardrobe.
and you know, you actually planned your money, your pocket money. You actually got a little job and worked, and you planned this purchase, and you paid some of that item off regularly. You had your time frame.
That's
right.
So and you didn't get it until you'd paid for it.
That's right.
No credit, no debit card. It was not instant. And the sense of satisfaction when you actually do have that purchased item in your hand was great. And I think that's a bit lost these days.
I agree. Yeah. So we've definitely lost something. Yeah. So you've heard from the experts. Let's see what the people on the streets have to say.
Credit card seems to rule. What do you think is a major influence for this?
Most people just want something now, like straight away, not prepared to save up and wait for it.
I think it's convenience more than anything, particularly with the sort of the new swipe thing that they're starting to bring in. It's just a case of people don't want to carry cash around. I know if I have cash, I'm going to spend it, no matter what. So I just try not to have any cash, but it ends up going on my card all the time.
And just doing that, do you spend more on your credit card?
Definitely, yeah.
So it's a bit of an oxymoron there.
It doesn't really balance out like it should.
If you don't have the cash, it's handy, and if you want something straight away, then you've got it. So that would be the only pro, I think.
Just easier to carry, much more. Nowadays, everyone operates with credit cards, as in you go to the shops, everything you can put on credit card. Now you just swipe your card and it just goes ahead. Cash just adds extra weight, especially if you've got 2 children. You know, it's just an extra thing you have to carry.
Well, I suppose because it's an easy way for some people to get what they want.
Are you for or against it?
As long as you manage it all right, it's not a problem.
I'm definitely for it, but at the same, because it's helped me out a few times, but at the same time, it's something that I think people need to be more aware of, and there needs to be things put in place to stop people from relying on it too much, because otherwise people get in a lot of trouble.
Against. It's handy when you need it, but like it's not good when you just continually buy and end up with a big debt.
What do you think are the pros and cons of cash or credit?
I think obviously, like I say, cash can just burn a hole through your pocket really quickly, and then credit is something that people can just sort of, you don't think of it as real money because it's just a bit of plastic in your pocket. And then if you get that mentality, you're going to end up spending way too much money before you know it.
As long as you clear the credit card, it's not a problem.
Pros, you just got something straight away. Like if you don't have the money, you can just buy it. Cons, that just the debt and the interest. Yeah.
Joining us now is Street Talk reporter Sandra Cavallo. Welcome, Sandra.
Hi, how you going?
Really well.
It was good. There's some interesting things out there.
Yeah, I think we've got some sensible people on the streets, I'd have to say. I think they're pretty clued up that credit cards, there's some trappings with that. But the thing I guess that surprised me is that having cash in your wallet means that you will spend more money. And I would have thought
What, he said burn a hole in your pocket or something?
Burn a hole in your pocket and...
Some people do have that problem though. They get, it's a leftover and opening up the paycheck, giving part of it to the responsible person in the relationship and then blowing the rest. A lot of men have that leftover attitude from the 70s.
So if you've got it, you spend it.
Yeah, because it's their portion. And
I don't think it's just men. My daughter doesn't think she's had a holiday if she's got any money bringing back with her. It's like,
that right?
I've still got money, Mum.
Oh, it's like a sin. You must spend it.
Yes, that's right.
Well, money does make the world go round.
Yeah,
you do need to spend it.
I love the lady who said, I don't carry cash because it's extra weight and I've already got children. I'm like, how much do you carry?
I wanted to ask her that.
Although I must tell you something hilarious. It costs $5.50 an hour to park your car on a parking metre these days, which I think is amazing. And they don't take credit cards.
So you have to have some cash.
You have to have some cash.
And that would be coins,
in
probably.
Coins, yeah.
I have to say, I actually prefer the parking meters that now take
debit
or credit cards because I just don't want.
Do I.
I don't have the coins. And
Well, to make your wallet lighter, I did that recently. Actually, I deliberately parked somewhere where I had to pay cash rather than credit card because I had all these 10-cent, 20-cent coins.
Oh,
and
okay.
I stood there for about half an hour.
But I think people's attitude even to money has changed. I was brought up, take care of the pennies, the pounds will take care of themselves, take care of the cents, the dollars will take care of themselves. I watch people throw out coins or not pick a coin up. I pick it all up and I keep it all in a thing and then take it and change it or give it to UNICEF, change for change. I mean, have you noticed that the actual change to the physical thing of having money?
Yes, and even purses and wallets don't have the, the zipper anymore. So absolutely, I think, the coins are treated with less respect.
Yes.
And I also think one of the commentators actually said, one of the audience said, it's really about managing your money better.
Yes.
And, being aware. And I think all of this adds to people feeling more secure if they're actually aware of their money.
Do you think the comment made by the lady, at the end of the day, if you pay it at the end of the month, you're okay, is actually good financial planning sense?
Well, in one aspect it is, because you don't pay any interest.
Yes.
And the interest can be quite high. But provided, as we said at the outset, you're disciplined, and as Michelle said, perhaps you've got a cash flow and it's within, 10% of your cash flow, then that's okay. Where the problems arise is where you don't look and you just keep on hitting the credit card and you get this massive bill and you probably have to go on your home loan to borrow some money to pay your credit card.
Yeah.
That's an aspect that's not very good.
We'll pick up your response in just a moment to that, Michelle. Sandra, thank you for popping in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more of The Exchange in just a moment. Welcome back to The Exchange. We're talking with Dominic Alafaci from Collins House and Unified Financial Services' Michelle Tate-Lovery about the pros and cons of becoming a cashless society.
Just as we finish up, tell us a couple of tips on how people can be more savvy with using credit.
Well, I think the most important thing is spend less than you earn.
Yes.
What do you think, Michelle?
Absolutely. Be aware and stick within your means.
Very good advice. Old-fashioned, but it still works.
And boring.
And boring.
Yeah, that's
Has
right.
to be boring, because everything boring is good for you.
It sounds like you've actually been programmed to say that.
I'm not Jaime, but I do actually act like a robot at times.
But you also have a little secret weapon here.
Look, everybody should read this book. I have no interest in it whatsoever. The Ascent of Money by Niall Ferguson. It is a terrific summary of what money is. We don't really know what money is. It's a means to an end and a store of wealth and all those other things. And it's a great introduction to banking and what makes the world go round.
And you've read it twice.
Yes, I should read it again.
When was the last time you read that?
Oh, probably about a year ago.
Okay, so you would encourage people to read that as a refresher?
And play Monopoly.
And play Monopoly, yes, because Monopoly teaches young people about buying and selling things and staying within your means.
Totally. Michelle, would you add anything to that?
Bottom line is, I think it starts with the individual being responsible and being committed, being disciplined, and having a goal, having a future, financial security. Everyone wants to be confident, happier, financially secure. It's not going to happen if you have no control over your spending, and certainly credit card debt. And we've seen earlier, we've spoken earlier about how easy it is to get into trouble with the credit card, but it is a method of payment, and if it's done responsibly, it can work for you.
Just on that responsibility with credit cards, what are the rules? How can we be more savvy if we're going to use credit?
Well, absolutely try to pay your credit card off every month, but before you do that, you've got to make sure you're aware of what you're putting on the credit card and have the money in the bank to pay that credit card off. And should you be in an unfortunate situation where you have credit card debt, there are lots of options now where you can actually transfer that debt to lower interest rate cards, and certainly understand the fees involved with the credit card, and review your credit card statement. Actually look at it, and as I said before, make a date with yourself and look at your total finances.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, just totally agree, and just be aware that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Some of these get rich quick, you know, will take over all of your debt for no interest, does have the fine print, and you have to be absolutely spot on with the repayments, because if you don't, you might end up in hotter water than you were originally.
But Dominic, also, I don't think we want to have the consumer actually just making the minimum repayment. You do really need to budget to make the total payment each month, so you don't pay interest.
And just finally, is there any areas where it's more important to use cash? Where would you say, like, I'm just going to use cash for this?
You have to, for argument's sake, if you go to an auction, you have to pay with cash or a bank cheque. So some places still have old-fashioned rules. Markets and things like that, you need to have cash.
Okay. I actually had someone say to me that you need to take cash, credit card and business cards with you everywhere you go. And that's been great advice. Dominic and Michelle, thank you so much for your time and all the advice and information you've given. It's been really helpful.
Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. Please go to our website for a fact sheet on this topic, as well as more information about this show, The Exchange. We look forward to seeing you next time.
See you soon.